Today we are on with Ryan, and Ryan has had conversations with Neil. He's had conversations with Steven. Ryan has been named as an Ammonite, a Ammon supporter. Some people have gotten really, really upset. Neil said some mean words to Ryan a few times and later apologized. But today we're going to talk about some of those conversations that Ryan had with them. Um, to maybe get a little bit of backstory, I'm going to challenge Ryan a little bit, um, prove him wrong. And Ryan said that he would admit all of his failures today in his video, every single failure he's ever made. And we are going to talk about Ammon Hillman and Ammon's claims. And Ryan even has a little bit of extra history info uh, about the ancient past and some really interesting, some would even call it drugs that we can talk about. I really like Ryan's approach. That's why I have him on here today. But how you doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing good, bud. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. All right. So, um, before we get into like the conversation, like we need some backstory. I don't think anybody's ever asked you. I don't think you've ever said it online. Like people don't really even know who you are. So, when did you first hear of Ammon Hillman? Tell me about like how long ago that was. What was the first thing you
It's
saw?
all
What do you
Neil's
remember?
fault. It is
Oh,
all Neil's fault.
okay.
Yes. Him just putting out these crazy conspiracy theories 4 or so years ago, bringing on this crazy ball. No, I'm kidding. But no, really though, it was Neil like introduced me to him, and like I just there was something about their relationship where it just was like okay, like these are different alternate, like historical um things like where I was interested in. I've always been interested in like I guess you like esoteric magic knowledge. Um, even pharmacy, like ancient pharmacy, like how did we, heal each other? Either either it be, through like I grew up in the Bible Belt. Like I'm in the buckle of the Bible Belt. Like I'm in Tennessee. Like this is where the most Bibles have ever been printed in the United States is in Tennessee. Um, so it's like I grew up uh, with a Christian background, but I didn't go to church after a certain point in my life. Like I went to Christian school till I was around 10, then got dumped into public school and had this like an eye opening experience. It's like oh these kids are bad, like, they don't know nothing about God and Jesus, but um I say like my background though, like with like being introduced was like at first it was just like a slow drip where like it's not like him and Amin would do like I remember when Neil was like maybe 20 22,000 subscribers and he'd have like different like fringe like
You got a lot of
PhDs or like authors on and it's just it's almost like ancient aliens like a lot of it's not true but you can't help but watch and hear what these people say so like it got me more interested because like I do have an interest in like like the Latin, French, like German, and then when he started talking about Greek and like the correlations on how like our language, even like the English language, derives from it, I was like, oh okay, I see what he's talking about. Um, it made more sense, even like in like the Greek magical papyri, like like a lot of it is Greek. I didn't understand any of it. I'd always be looking for like translations of it usually from like French to German or German to French, because that's how like when they first were deciphering these things like a long time ago, that's how it goes. But then it's like, okay, look at the original like, word and the context to it, and like so Almond kind of opened my eyes to it in a sense of like, okay, so understanding this language will help me understand what I'm actually reading and like put setting myself back in that time period. Um,
So you said
and then
you can't got through Neil. So you're talking about
mhm,
what when Neil was having Amon on for a few
mhm,
interviews or videos or whatever. There was one where they were on with Ruck. There was a couple other
yep.
ones, which by the way, Neil still has a on his channel. He hasn't taken them down. surprisingly, even though he disagrees with
Oh, I
pretty much
know.
in the video. But so you're saying that's where you heard about him. So it wasn't like Neil critiquing, like it was Neil was just having Amon on. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So like it
Interesting.
was, it's like I've been like a fan of Neil's like for uh, yeah, like 4 or so years.
Okay.
And then he was always kind of like encouraging like Almond to like have his own channel. And again, like I always take anything he says with a grain of salt because it's like my thing is like extraordinary claims. Like I need some real proof or like a source to it. And he talks the talk really well, especially back then. Like what you see today is like this like transformation of like whatever Bacchus is coming out of him or whatever. Like it's like a completely different individual. Which
Huh.
again, like I'd say within the last year, it's really like amped up. I mean, like just before the historical breakup between Neil and him, um, it after like the Danny Jones going on there, it's like his whole like not like his persona, but his objective like change,
Mm,
change like completely. And it's like I would still watch now and then. It's not like I watch like every like live stream because most of the time, at least within like the last year and a half, like it's just rants. He's just going on like rants, and then he'll sprinkle a little Greek in, and which is like fine, like if that's what you want to watch. But most of the
yeah.
time, like my wife, like she'll literally say, "Oh God," like she'll just say that out of nowhere to me, and I'll just die laughing because I know what she and she go right, and which I get like what he's trying to do. It's like his
Yeah.
satire, um, but there's a little bit of it's like get to the point
Yeah.
where he jumps around, he sprinkles a little info in, and then like wants you as the viewer to kind of go look. Whereas back in the day with Neil, he would try to break it down like
Mm,
in a more theoretical teaching way.
mm,
And so
mm.
like I was watching like an old video like the other day of them just to see like how much he's changed. Like his whole demeanor is like just different, which is like fine. Like if that's like what your whole truth is, the muse is speaking through him like now, or he couldn't find his voice back then. It's like he had to like edge people into it because it's been like a slow build over time. Like if you watch something from 4, 3 to 2 years ago, you'll see it change, which is fine. Like I don't judge it like based on that, but I do judge on the fact that it's like you're just trying to like bastardize it at this point where it's like
Mm.
I've reached out to him over the years trying to find specific things like just
Okay.
help like point me in a direction
Mm.
and no response.
Mm.
But I mean like
Okay, we'll have to talk about that in
it's
a second
fine.
here. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you're saying, all right, so you noticed transformation. So there was a huge one from Danny Jones, the first interview to the second one, and it is almost
Hmm.
like Danny or Amon was like, "Hey, I gotta like put on a show for people because
He got that
it's
stamp.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like, hey, this is what people are interested. I got to be exciting." And then,
Mhm.
interestingly enough, it seemed like the maybe the third or the fourth one that he did with him wasn't as exciting. Almost like he's like, okay, I got to tone it back. I don't know if
Mhm.
anybody else noticed that, but that is really interesting that you'd say all that. So your wife, does she watch it all, or is this purely her jokes are purely like listening in the background?
Her jokes are like um she'll hear some of it. She'll just
Mm,
laugh at it, but like she understands like why we're both like interested like in
okay,
similar things. Like
cool.
um I guess you could say she used to be like a practicing like like witch. She doesn't really do it
Oh,
much anymore. She still has her books and all of her trinket stuff and like her fumigation rituals and everything. Like she still collects rain, like like on the full moon, et cetera, et cetera. That's
wow.
like her whole like mindset of it. Me, like I just like to understand like why people think this way. Like even past the Greek, like the Persians, like why they did certain things. Like
Yeah.
this stuff is even older than the Greek stuff.
Hmm.
Like the most of the time, Ammon like hints at, but he gives them no credit. He just calls them like I forget what he calls like the Persians, but it's not like a good term. Um, but it's there.
Yeah.
But I'd say like yeah, from that first interview with Danny to like even like, the second one wasn't like awful. Like they started like dipping into like what people are like I guess like saying online. Like Danny Jones. I know he looks at that stuff. Like he knows it's gonna sell in a sense.
Right.
And who knows what the conversation was like in the background with them too. And then with what's his name, Bob
Oh,
Larson.
at the
That
same
was just
time.
a humiliation ritual. Like they were paying that dude just to go on there and be just shocked and awed, like to Ammon. Like at the end of the video, he literally gives him $5,000. Like where it's like, you may give Neil some shit like in like for like making money like off his. It's like I don't know what he does other than this for a living, but it's like he does this for like I don't understand that thinking. Like like giving him shit for taking super chats when he used to participate in the super chats with Neil. Like, he would tell
Oh,
people
really?
to like send in super. It's like it's hypocritical, but also it's like you go on other channels where that they like there's a paywall in a sense. It's hypocritical to my like which is like okay whatever. It's just one of those things. Like he
Mm.
gets on a tangent and he doesn't understand. I think most of the time it's like you're literally pointing the finger while three more are pointing back at you. Like that whole thing.
Huh.
Like so, like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's just one of those weird things that he does nowadays, where y'all are saying I do these things, they do these things, and it just becomes a never ending pointing finger match. I mean, but yeah, even like the last time I think he was on Danny was when he had like the hat and everything on. Like there
Yeah.
wasn't much new or exciting. It was just Danny's like feeding into the weirdness of him,
Hmm.
and even like their whole like I don't know, like Ammon is like Alexa turn off. Like he's basically excommunicated him like from his life from having on one comedian who has conspiracy theories galore. Kurt Metzger, I'm talking about. Um, where
Wait, I haven't heard about this. Tell me. So, who? Someone got kicked off?
well, no, like Kurt Metzger is a comedian, but
Okay.
he does like conspiracy like focus YouTube content, or he
Uh,
goes on other like channels and talks about like conspiracy theories and stuff. And
okay.
on on his episode with Danny about 6 or 7 weeks ago, they Amon gets brought up and like Kurt kind of like downplays him like in the episode, and Danny didn't come to Amon's defense because he didn't come to his defense in like what he was saying about Amon. Like he got his feelings hurt,
Oh
which
wow.
it's like
Okay. Yeah. I'm remembering this vaguely. I need to check this out.
which like Kurt Metzger, like one, he's a comedian.
Uh,
He just looks into shit because like that's his job is to get people interested in what he's talking about. Not everything he's discussing is like factual or truth. Just like Giorgiani or fucking anyone else that looks into like those deep seated like conspiracies in
yeah.
like the world. It's like you can't always like take it like, oh, like that's what the experts are saying, that's what he's saying. It's like if you're taking it that way, that just shows that you're very impressionable.
Hmm.
Like to the point where it's like you're like a child, you have a child's mind. Like, you can't be impressed by knowing all these different people in different places, and they were hanging out with this person, and oh my god, there's a picture with them, and it's like yeah, look further into it. I mean, that's how conspiracies, in my opinion, get pushed around so easily nowadays, and with the internet too. But
Sure.
it's like you can't just believe everything you hear.
Right.
Not everything on TikTok is real. Like,
Right, right. I do think that Ammon is very easily offended, and like an obvious example is Neil when he disagreed with Ammon, and maybe even like said some things, did some things that might possibly have been seen as mocking, but like he took like actual offense to it, and I think that's why Ammon even responds the way he does now, why he's so like
mm,
aggressive and even called him like a rapist and made
yeah,
up all kinds of wild things about him about uh, June 6th and all that, or sorry, Jan 6th and all that silly stuff, just because like he feels backstabbed, like he actually
right,
feels a certain way. He feels attacked, and that's why he's like talking about Neil all the time, all the
right.
time.
Well, like to your point, it's like Neil does say he's like, Amon knew that he was there. He wasn't participating, but Neil also knew about Amon's like court case. But since like Neil brings that up, he feels like it's like, oh, then I need to bring up he was a January 6th and expound upon that. And where it's just high school drama
Yeah,
at that point, in which
yeah.
like I get why Neil like I think what you're getting at too is like around the time I think is that when Kip and Derek,
Hmm.
Amon and Neil were all in the same like
That was a long time
live
ago.
stream. Yeah, and Kip got pissed and rage baited off. Which like poor Kip, he just sticks to his Hebrew, it's like it was like
I
it's
don't
not
think he had any idea what he was getting into there. I don't think he had
oh
any
no,
idea, and
no.
he
He
just dipped
literally
him when we
will
just like I'm done with this.
yeah. In which like this thing like Amon can be combative when he wants to be. But other time like other interviews I see like with other people that are into this, like he'll be like normal, but
Hmm.
he just had like a bone to pick for some reason about if you question Mother Greek or like what he knows. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes it's like okay, you're getting a little too sensitive.
Mm.
It's like if I guess it gets into that whole like peer review like status and stuff. Like if you had more things like out there to where more people like recognize like your work, which I get it. Like some PhDs or other like authors in the field, they're not always going to like stamp his his studies because a lot of it is like fringe like stuff that's like where people aren't always like looking in that area or looking at it from the lens that he sees it. He's studying and looking at like 8 different things at once and trying to compare it to one thing. And you can't always grab like every individual, but you'll grab a few people that are like making those connections. It's like that, always sunny in Philadelphia like meme where dude is like looking at the wall. He's just like like it's like
Right,
until
right.
like he actually maps his thoughts out, people are just going to just pick up on a few words. Because again, like you have to like how Steven does. Like he'll go word for word what he's saying to try to keep up with like what is he talking about.
Hmm.
And Neil too, like back in the day, like Neil would just go along with it. But again, he's going based off of like he trusts him. He
Hmm.
trusts like the information that he's being told. You know, it's not like everything he's ever talked about historically or methodly like on how he like translate is like always wrong, but he does exaggerate at times, and where it's like is like you saw like last night, it's like well, fuck, like Steven got you. He literally went as Amon says, go to your primary source. Like, well, he went to the lexicon editors. Like, I mean, like that's and asked like a specific question, and he got answers, and it's like it is easier than you would think. I mean, obviously, like Steven's been doing this for a while. I'm sure like he's built some type of rapport with some people, but like still, like if he's known in the field, he should be able to bring on people himself, but he doesn't. He's a one man show. Um, Unless he's going on like a podcast to talk about his theories,
Mhm.
but he doesn't. I don't have any memory of him really like going on or bringing on people to discuss like what he
Yeah, well, he had
what
Neil
he looks up.
on, and like he'll hype people up. So I don't know if that's like like he Neil even shared some stuff before, and then he's had maybe like one other guy that I remember. But no, you're totally right. Like he doesn't have actual scholars on. He
Like his
might,
teacher,
yeah,
like John
Scarborough.
Scarborough.
Yeah.
Um, I think he's still alive. Um, but he he's been on he goes on other podcasts like Hamilton Morris is one like or Sacred Speaks like, and he'll just go on like long rants and they just nod their head and just listen. They're not actually like looking in as he's bringing these things up, like, which is again you're going off of faith. That thing that he hates so much. Like he wants you to just go off of his expertise,
Hmm.
but it's the same thing he criticizes like with Christians and stuff. I mean, like, or any other like cult religion that he talks about. So it's
Hmm.
like, I mean, at the end of the day, like it's like he just wants you to believe, and if you don't believe everything, which I've seen it, I can like, and I'm not very um active like in the Discord because a lot of the time it's just like sometimes there's some people like posting things that they're looking into, or some people are getting like offended at like X, Y, and Z. I have seen like times like I missed the whole um Ashes like drama. Like I
Oh,
was just like
okay.
off the Discord for like 2 months, and then like it was like not even like a week after I got on, and then I started seeing like her attitude towards like them or the congregation as he calls it like change. I was like, what the fuck happened? And then like when I looked into it, or he's like, you know, unless like someone like deletes everything, but the internet is forever and most everything like you could see.
Uh,
Um, where like an issue happened with not just like her trying to help people, but then when she was getting like ousted, like on the like you can look up like the messages like on Discord, like where it shows like how the conversation unfolded that day, and
yeah,
like
I need to check this out.
she's rightfully like to be upset about someone in that Discord. I won't name like their name, but like where they were using like bully tactics on like what someone can and cannot say, and she was like, "Stop being a bully."
Hmm.
And then it just evolved into like tit for tat, where she was getting puffed up, and then that girl would like get puffed up, and then
Hmm.
then Bori just fucking timed her out, which
Yep.
it's like again it's like high school shit, but I do understand like her being upset. Like it's not like I don't like like we're um yeah, I think it would evolve into the way it's gone like the past month, no, but like it's just how the cookie crumbled.
Hmm.
Like they fucked around and found out like with someone like her. Like, she was like very um into like the subjects and talking about, different philosophies and etc. But then again, it's like, if you fuck with the wrong one, like some
Hmm.
witches are not meant to be fucked with. like
Right.
you never know like someone's knowledge on the occult. Like, so it's like you just always play it safe, as I tell people.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Yeah, that's the fun thing. It's like, so you have the people in your group, your Ammon's group, and like they're going to
mm,
be super. At least the really committed ones, they're going to be super,
very
like,
protected. Yeah, they're very
very
protected.
protective. They're going to be like, they're going to Ammon's right no matter what. Like they are ride or die. Like that is
Mhm.
that. Um, but but and like most of the time it doesn't even have to do with like the text or the history or whatever. Like
No.
most of the time it's all like if you use like so if you as you kind of hinted at there, if you go against the group in any way, if you even hint at like saying anything wrong, then you're going to be like totally attacked, and like it's like that's not okay,
Mhm.
because like not only are you talking one person, but that person is our family and our group, and even though you're kind of our family too, it's still our other family. You're still attacking us, and you're attacking Ammon,
It's
and that's not
tribalistic.
okay. What? Yeah, yeah.
Like there's like
Tribalistic
a
is exactly
there's like
that.
an inner hierarchy,
Yeah.
and depending on how far along you are in classes with him, depends on your hierarchical like
Mhm.
status. Um, and like I noticed that like a few years ago with like the again like I only joined like Discord like recently, but again like if you look on Reddit and all these other things, you can find like the myth and lore, so to speak, of all this, like how it's unfolded over time.
Mhm.
The original, I didn't say like original, like the how should I put it? Like the now, like no matter what he says or does, it's like it's fine. Like they will just disregard anything that has been like done in the past. Even like with when people find out, they just like, oh, it's fine. Like, which we don't have to get into like the whole like court case or anything, but like
Uh-huh.
on the on the blatant side of it, if you're looking from an outside view, it looks one way. When you look further into it, yes, there are wordings and etc. where it can look, like oh, like the Catholic Church, they're accusing him of demon possession and or opening portals and etc. etc. And then if you look at the emails, it says something different. Like, but then how like why did he wait so long to take them to court over something that could have just been swept under the rug and no one would have known. Yeah, hail the fleece, the purple fleece. Um, like when you look into there is like wording in there where it can appear one way, but you have to break it down like as the court sees it, like how they saw it fit to make a judgment call on whether to proceed with this or not. And there is like a stipulation to it, but also it's like if they would have thought like they were being like malice, and again, like it's the Catholic Church. Like how many people have won claims against the Catholic Church? Not many. Like not unless you've actually been proven to be touched by
You mean the
priests and
school?
shit.
Because the
Yeah, the
Ahmed
school.
was saying that the school was the one defaming, not the Catholic Church in general. What do you mean by what? Why did you say the Catholic Church?
It's the priest, like the main dean or whatever his name was. I forget his name.
Hmm.
Um, him like
Like I
he
don't
was
know
the
how
guy
they're all
making the original
connected,
claim.
so that's why I asked.
Yeah, you're fine. Like the dean of like the art side of it, he was like an actual like Catholic priest on that, and then like he was going around trying to find. Which my assumption would be like he finally found the chemical muse and saw all this in like original sin and saw all this shit that he was saying in there. I was like, oh my god, we can't have this guy here teaching. Like he was probably like thinking like, oh my god, this guy's teaching our Greek and Latin classes. Like, and then who knows? Like um that'd be like a whole podcast and stuff to go. Like we'd have to like actually pull up the stuff and look at it, but we can talk.
Yeah, maybe another
It's just
time. Yeah.
to me like do I think it's wrong for him to like flirt and like make like advances in that way of like like insinuate he's insinuating specific things? Yes, it's not good to say that to your students. Um, but it's just like at least like no one was actually physically like hurt. That's all I'm saying. Like I'm glad no one was actually like physically like touched. But does it make people feel uncomfortable? Yes, of course. Like I think that is like not good. Like that he may have done those things allegedly. I want to say that for I don't want to get taken to court for anything. Allegedly, he did X, Y, and Z. It's in those documents. Like people can read it. It's online. Um, but like it's just you know it doesn't make people feel good. So it's like did they have a reason? Yes, like they had a reason. Did he think that they didn't have one? No, he didn't think they had a good reason to fire him. But
I don't think
that's
they. I don't think
okay.
Amon even knew because the way I wrote it
Mhm.
made it seem like at least this is what Amon claimed, or his lawyers claimed, is that they basically fired him, and then he
Mhm.
asked why, and they didn't really give him a reason, and therefore
Right.
then he comes out to these to the news, whatever people, the two
Yeah,
articles
there's
from
three
like
art. Yeah,
Fire.
there's yep.
Yeah, and but then he
It
says
was
like I
receipts.
guess he's saying his story. I guess maybe he wasn't
Yeah.
even lying about it, or like saying, "Hey, yeah, I'm being defamed or whatever." But that's just how his perspective on it. And then he goes to court, and like the
Mhm.
actual reasons why he was fired shows up, and
Yeah.
it's like shoot, like you really screwed yourself over, and like
Yeah.
you defamed yourself in a lot of ways.
Correct. Like where it's like you know he was hired based on semester contract.
uh
So they just didn't rehire him, and he was like, "Why? Like, why am I not being rehired?" And then they the investigative started in November, and he got fired like just before Christmas, which is shitty. But hey, like
Hmm.
like it's a right to fire, for anything. But then when he wanted to pursue defamation, it's like, oh, they had all this stuff they probably didn't want to come out because in that time period, a lot of bad press was coming out against like different Catholic universities and stuff, and they probably didn't want to like further pursue anything. But then when
Mm,
push comes to shove, it's like, well, we have these statements from these different women. Now, like if they would have went to court, they would have had to have brought them to court as personal witnesses, but it never went that far, so like, we'll never know. Like there are like individuals, uh, not specifically named, they just have like their anagram,
yeah.
but again,
Yeah, well,
like
on that, so
we'll never
you
know.
in your conversation with Neil and maybe no, Stephen wasn't there at the time. We and people could watch it. We'll watch some clips in a second. But in that
Yeah.
conversation, you were talking about the court documents, and Neil was like, "Hey, they did. Amin did this, and all these people said this, and like that's bad." Then you said, "Well, this is
Mhm.
what the lawyers were saying," and what
Right.
Neil and other people interpreted that as is saying, "Hey, they could be lying." But it could be wrong.
Hmm.
And I think what Neil and other people look at it as like, hey, like I guess theoretically they could be lying, but that seems to be a
Hmm.
reach that you would have so many uh, statements from these lawyers unless they're just completely making everything up.
Hmm.
So I'm just like I'm curious, like, so are you, what is your actual position? Are you saying that like we don't know 100% sure, but we can know like 90% sure that these statements are legit, or are you just completely like skeptical, like you actually do think these people are lying, or what is it?
I I think it's like an either or thing. Like either the lawyers put in that report because again, like they're arguing against taking this to court and
Sure.
they're putting in their reasoning why because it's like a bluff in a sense. Like, okay, like you want to take us to court? Well, this is our reasoning why they fired you, and they list off the reasonings is because they had I think it was like 5 or 6 different students um, with statements,
Uh-huh.
and then they they brought up the emails with the program director. Was she in on it, or or she knew or had knowledge, or she had foreknown knowledge of him having communication with the students outside of like the play,
Mhm.
um, et cetera. Like where, is that being complicit, et cetera. Like where I can't say we'll ever know. Now, like again, like they can in like that, like the lawyers can put in there claims, but if it goes to court, they have to actually prove it. That's
Mhm.
what I was getting at, like with Neil. Like they'd actually have to bring in their witnesses, the
Mhm.
5 people, and then we would know. But other than that, it's just hearsay. Like at the end of the day, it's just hearsay.
Mhm.
Like, am I going to go on the side of like thinking like he's like 100% like just or not justified? Like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Innocent.
Like innocent? No, like that something happened. He's claiming like freedom of speech, but like if that were so, like that would have been actually like he would have went earlier to the court to like seek that because but it's like if you have like an actual claim, you wouldn't take 3 years to go to court over it unless like again like they put a stamp on him for sexual misconduct or whatever it may be, sexual harassment like on his teaching record, and it prevented him from going other places. But I don't know that either. Like I don't know if he's still licensed to teach because it seems to me like that he hasn't taught since then. Like
Right. Yeah, like I could definitely see a situation where he like tried to get other jobs or tried to do some other thing, maybe not even teaching, but then uh what maybe the news articles came up in the background checks or something like that,
yeah,
and then he's like, shoot, they defamed me, like this is the reason why I can't get jobs, and then that's why it took so long. It's because for him to do this whole defamation thing, because one, he's probably doesn't know anything about law, and two, uh, because
expensive.
like
Yeah.
he's taken so long, like he finally got to the point like, shoot, this is the reason why I can't get a job, and maybe that's true. Um, so like, I don't know how good of a law that is. Like with the
Because
whole like sexual abuse
what
stuff. Um,
is
like
there's nothing like on his record. Like he
um,
wasn't taken to court or charged prior.
right,
Like he wasn't
right,
fired. Like they didn't bring it to the police. Like they left it out. Like they, it's like in a sense that I don't know how that works in the at the university level. Um, but who knows? Maybe like they did put something like on like his rapport of working there previously, like where he was fired for what sexual harassment, like which I would assume that probably does like have like a bad look, like obviously that is like a bad look like on your teaching, but like I mean who knows? I mean, like, yeah, it was at a college level. Like, he's not the first professor to like have like sexual advances to like the students. Like in a lot of movies today, it's like it's looked at like, oh, isn't that sweet? The old professor that never gets any finally gets a hot new student. Like it's bullshit nowadays. But like uh, with me, yeah, it's like you were saying inappropriate things, and it was if it was at least allegedly like it was uh looked into and they thought it was enough to like fire you even if it was about the whole play, like you know any job can look and find a reason to fire you, like any job can. Like I don't
right,
know if it's a right to fire state, um like I believe in Tennessee it is, um, like, in other like states, like it can be, or like if you live in Illinois, like you could burn down the building and say "fuck you" to the owner, and they still won't fire you. like, like, like unless like you did something like if they actually know you did it. Other than that, no. Like there are some like you can sue for anything. Like in most like states. Like but in Tennessee, no. Like you can just come in wearing the wrong thing that day. Yep, bye. Like
No.
like but who knows? I mean, and I was just with Neil. Like I was trying to instead of be like look at it biasly. It's like let's look at it from like the other lens. At first,
Mhm.
like he was like looking at it from like like how are you saying that you don't believe them? It's like on any show you watch on TV when it comes to like court cases and stuff, like you gotta look at every side to it. Not just like in an unbiased way, and that's why there's 5 or 6 episodes, and at the end of it, you come to a conclusion, or sometimes it's a cliffhanger. Like I don't think that there's um any more to it than that. I mean, like it's just yeah.
Yeah, so you're saying that you were trying to hear both sides, right? So I do think that uh, because of the way you responded in comments to Neil,
Mhm.
um, most of the stuff you've said, at least during that time period, maybe not as much now, but in the past, you'd been like um, trying to give like both facts. Like Neil's obviously got one side, like he's trying to make his argument, and then you're like going to respond. So you might not say, "Hey, Ammon's right about everything," but maybe he's right about this one
Mhm.
very individual point, which is certainly worth mentioning. And Neil interpreted that as, "Hey, this
Yeah.
guy's an Ammonite," because the only people that say
Yeah.
kind of stuff like that is the Ammonites who like say Ammon's right about everything. So then you kind of got named as some kind of Ammonite. So then when you went on the show and you're like, "Hey, these
Like
lawyers."
in reality, I'm literally like far from like oh my dear Lord Amen, oh
Well, I mean,
like
even in the
like
beginning of this interview, you were okay with saying some like, "Hey, Amon's not doing this right" and whatever. But what I was going to say was, um, when you say, "Hey, like the lawyers might not be telling the truth," or like this is just what the lawyers say, that gives that at least for Neil and other people, it gave the impression like, hey, this guy is he's an Ammonite and
it's
he's
the
gonna
same, yeah.
defend Ammon no matter what, and like he's not looking at the facts. But what other people are saying is, hey, we have the emails at the very minimum where Ammon says like some
Mm-hmm.
what seems like inappropriate things, and then we have like
Mm-hmm.
four or five the lawyers saying this is what they said. So like
Mm-hmm.
hypothetically, it's possible that they were lying or made up, but um, considering
It's
we have these
stretching of the
emails in
truth.
this
Yeah.
threatening situation, is like what are the chances of them actually being liars about this? Um, so you saying that like yes, you do you do think that the lawyers, it's possible that they were not completely correct. We wouldn't know that until we actually get to court, but you still do see a problem with some of the stuff Amon did. Is that correct?
Right. Like I could cherry pick parts of it or piecemeal things together, but when I look at it from a bird's eye view, looking at everything, it's like yeah, we could focus in on specific wording and like from like the beginning of the court, like there's like it was like over like an 18-month period,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like only like within like the last 3 months, like it never went to trial because of it was outside of the 2 year window of defamation. Like that state has a 2 year window of someone like defaming you, where you can take them to court. Like now, I'm saying that is like that's what the lawyers and then the judge signed off on. Now, could they have still gone? Yeah, and they would have been able to pursue it further. We could have seen what they actually found, like what their evidence was. Which yes, they could have had like all that evidence, but the court ended it saying like, look, dude, you're outside of your 2 year window. Now, is that like the lawyer? Did they drag it out on purpose to be outside of that window? Technically, no, because when he brought it to them, it was like or when he went to court originally for it, it was already like over the 2 year period. It got drawn out to like three and a half, like almost like 4 years after the fact. Um, so I don't know why they drew it out, other than if they just wanted to like humiliate him every time coming to court, like pursuing this, even though they had in their back pocket like this motherfucker doesn't even know that he's outside the 2 year window. Like, but hey, yeah, we'll keep having we'll keep having him come to court, and like or like there was a time period where he was given a time frame to bring substantial evidence against them, and he couldn't do it in the time period. So yeah, he kept asking for extensions, and that's your lawyer doing that. It's like if you're paying someone to work for you, I expect some motherfucking results. Like, I mean, unless like maybe that's the reason why he's in so much debt or whatever. Like that's been alleged. Like over like an who knows? Like I don't know. Like they probably promised him like, oh, we'll rob them, after, we get this defamation, like settled, we'll be taking, whatever millions from them, but like, if you look at like, even for that, like it'd only be based, like, I think it's like based off of, um, how much you would assume to make, which like, let's all be honest, college professors do not make that much money. I don't know how much he expected like to make, but
Well,
like,
so some of them do. I had a computer science teacher that was making about 100,000, like 5, 6, no, maybe like
mhm,
10 years ago. But I mean,
mhm.
so I mean that's pretty good money. But he probably wasn't making anywhere close to that.
Yeah, like it depends on the field, like and like in university too. Um, but like still, like I don't know like what he's expecting from that, but that was like my outlook on it is like we won't know like the 100%. Yes, like we can like go off of like looking at from like our individual perspectives on it, but we'll never know like what the real outcome, because like it didn't get past a certain point, like where we could see more actual like real evidence. Hey, whatever like Neil wants to say about like like they were under oath. It's like no, it's not under oath. Like they weren't in the like it's literally a written document that the lawyers present to the judge. The judge reads it, and then he decides, okay, yeah, we're gonna either go further into this or we're not. Like it's not like all that was typed out like in a court setting, because that would be actual. I forget what they call that. Like the court. Oh damn, what's it called? Like the little lady that types everything out. I forget what that's called. Stenographer or whatever the fuck it's
I
called.
have no idea.
Where that would be like the back and forth arguments of each lawyer, like going back and forth, like and then presenting, et cetera, et cetera. Like that would be an under oath setting. This is just like
Sure.
preliminary stuff that happens.
Yeah.
That he kept trying to get it to go, like he was trying to take it to trial because he thought, or in Ammon was thinking like, oh no, they don't have me for nothing or nothing whatnot. But like you see in the arguments from the university side, they were basically like warning him like you don't want to take this like to court. That was like my like, I guess it came off like different in that way, where it's like we have substantial evidence that you were doing these things. We did, and like he he makes the claim that he was interrogated for 8 hours. Were you opening portals and blah blah blah? And it's like, or are you the god Pan? Which you don't see. I think you only see him there once, like or twice, where the mention of Pan at any point, but you don't see any of the interrogation, quote unquote, like in the file. Or if I missed it, someone pointed out to me, but like you don't see any of like the questioning that the defense makes to Ammon. So who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
again, like him. him by him like exaggerate. My thing with Neil was like if he thought this would look bad on him, like I wouldn't be bringing this stuff up in conversation with on podcasts. Like it's almost like, it's like a death sentence, like in a sense of like to your credibility or the way like the normal like or just individuals may look at you by like if that stuff is all true. So like, but he may be like being dramatic about it, saying pointing all the finger at the church and the university, and that was maybe he thought it would have like an effect to it, which it does on most individuals that like believe him like 100%.
Yeah, so
But me,
he definitely
I'm 50
is.
50 on
He like what Ammon says, what he makes it come off of gives him like some cool vibe. Like they thought I was doing some magic, and someone like your wife maybe might be like, oh wow, that's something to look into. Like someone that already believes in all the
it.
magic and stuff like that. But I don't even know if Ammon thinks like
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a chance that Ammon actually might be telling the truth when he tells those stories um
It's history.
because if you remember Ammon, he didn't seem to know why he actually got fired originally. So then finds out all this stuff later, and it's like, well, I mean, if I'm Ammon who deflects anytime I'm challenged,
Mm-hmm.
and I will not accept any wrongdoing, then I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
like, either those are made up or that didn't really happen or it wasn't like that. Like I'm gonna like in the back of my head, or it's like a subconscious
Mm-hmm.
thing. There's a lot of stuff going on there. A lot of
Yeah.
confirmation bias, but like he like whatever it is, just like doesn't want to accept that like that actually happened. I could totally
Right.
easily see a scenario where he's like, either those are made up, or like it's not what it is, what you think it is. This is the actual reason. The reason I actually got fired is because of the play, and it's not this other stuff. Even though we have the emails, that's not the real reason I got fired. So like he might actually be honest. He might not even believe what the lawyers were saying, even if they were true.
Mm-hmm.
Because like that's why it's such a difficult scenario. Is like does when Ammon says things that look like lies, like does he actually believe them because he's like
Right.
totally in denial about everything? Like you don't know.
Like he says more sexually explicit like undertones or like scenarios today than in what I see in the
In the emails.
like in emails. Which grant, like, yeah, like you shouldn't you, like a teacher student relationship. Like he tries to like, oh, I used to go get drunk with John Scarborough after our classes and
Mhm.
so like he shouldn't have been doing that. Like, but it happens. Like it's just like like I shouldn't have been smoking weed behind the tobacco barn in high school. I still fucking did. It's like like you live and learn, but it's like you gotta fucking sorry to cuss uh but it's like you gotta be able to distinguish like if you're a teacher you want people to take you serious, you can't get beyond that threshold. There's no return. Like once you feel like comfortable saying those things to your students, it's a slippery slope because insinuations can happen, and some people can get offended, and others can't. Like it says in there, like parents knew about what he was saying to some of them, and they are the ones that first brought the attention to the university about him. Other than like him trying to like have giant phalluses like on stage and stuff. So it's like that's an authentic worry from a parent. Like, why is this teacher saying these inappropriate things? And again, it's the Catholic Church. Like, we don't know how like serious they take their Christianity, but I assume if you're sending your kid to Catholic university, you take it pretty damn serious. It's not for the education. Let's be honest. Like, other than whatever they may be like providing there, but like I you know like the writing's on the wall with that. Like he should have knew that, you know.
Yeah,
So
well,
it's like
some of
it's
the
not.
emails to Judy, I'm just like, why would you ever say that in a million years? It's so odd. Like, especially in like writing, not even
Yeah,
like in like it's like he's like speaking in
private.
code. Just like,
Yeah,
why
like
are you doing this? Like he's
yeah,
not teaching
like
anybody. He's not like it's one thing to do a video and like him to like speak metaphorically and all this other, but another thing to email your friend randomly about like
mhm,
pretending to be Pan and like
right.
stalking somebody. Like, what do you? Why? That's
Yeah, like
crazy.
like, you know, when he tells the girl to sing, you know, and stuff like that, which is just like it sounds like an awkward moment. Like
Yeah,
you're again, like is she complicit in allowing that to keep on going? You know, like which
yeah,
like technically like yes, like in her eyes, you know, she's like a theater nerd. Like, oh yeah, they'll love it. You know, like they're just trying to express themselves or whatever.
hmm,
And you know, he's trying to find his voice or whatever. Like, he's like, and what he states, like this was like his first theater adaptation that he'd ever been a part of.
hmm,
So, you know, maybe he thought he was fitting in too comfortably, and then like again, like there is like not everyone's gonna be okay with what you say to them, and it's like it's kind of like again, like it's the student teacher mentality. We don't know their ages. Yes, they're over 18, but still, like they're still trying to figure themselves out. You can't be
yeah,
asking, "Hey, how much pussy did you get this weekend, Sam?" You know, it's like what, like
yeah,
why did my teacher just ask you that? You know, or whatever. You know, or you know, like the email with him asking about if he the garter like in like the lace like would you prefer
to the
like you
guy,
know
to a
yeah
guy.
and
Like,
like
what?
which again like you're that's like that's guy talk with like your buddy not your teacher like like but still like it's still like an uncomfortable like and we don't know how he replied like that's one thing too like I've seen like what is the setup to some of these things.
Uh-huh.
Like I would, there was just a little bit more context. And again, I'm not saying it didn't. Like obviously, like there were emails of it, but what is like the setup question to it? Like with the Judy lady, y'all, you see like everything with her, but like with it's just like the one statement with
Sure.
with that, which again, like that's just me wanting to see more like again, like I will follow the evidence. Anytime any of this stuff, like I will follow where the evidence leads me to. And I can be wrong, I can be right. Like I don't have like a narcissistic like ego about it. Like no, no, I'm never wrong. You know, blah blah blah. Even when it comes down to um, we'll get into like the biblical stuff later, but like uh that stuff. It's like sometimes we just don't know like what the metaphor or you know
Sure.
like the meaning is like to be interpreted in a certain way. But
Hmm.
nowadays in modern English, I know what the fuck you're saying. Like you know like, how you're coming across. Sorry for cussing again.
No, you're good.
Um,
Do it all you want.
but like if you're asking like another man on what he prefers, like someone to wear like on their neck, it's like you're insinuating that he's into some type of sexual play in a sense, like with a partner or you know whatever it may be. Like it's just like yeah, I mean like, you know modern terminology like helps us with that.
Right, right, right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, well, that's a good little transferring point there. So, I'm gonna need you to pretend more to be more an Ammonite, okay? Because we need some drama in this video. You're agreeing
Yeah, people are too.
with us too much. Um,
Okay.
okay. So,
You're
um,
a stool pigeon. You know
w-
what that is?
what'd you say?
You're a rat. You're a stool pigeon.
A stool pigeon?
Yeah. You rat
Okay.
bastard.
There you go. There you go.
That's
All
probably what
right.
they're probably saying about you right now in the Discord or something.
Oh
Like,
gosh.
we knew we had a. It's like I'm not even being like
They said that about
crazy
you?
about you. No, no, I don't know. I'm just making it up.
I mean, they might be saying that about you, so be
I
careful.
don't, I
Be
don't,
careful out there. I tell people that like if I would love to go to one of the Junia concerts or Junius, but
yeah,
it would not be safe for me. I would
just
not
wear
feel
makeup.
wear
Just,
makeup.
yeah, just put on the
Change my hair a
white.
little bit.
Yeah, just just put a hood on
Uh,
and just sit in the back. No one will know.
I could like say
Just,
"Hail Satan" every few minutes, and then oh God, I
I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Oh
like
my gosh,
this
that'd
guy's
be
a little
funny.
weird. He's not familiar with the lingo. He's
Right.
he is a rat. Okay, so yeah, real. So I want to watch. This is the first conversation you had with Neil and Steven, and I'm just
Yeah.
trying to get what you were thinking in the moment because
Mhm.
the way things like all played out with your comments and all that, you were like it was framed a certain way, but I'm trying to figure out what you were thinking and why you were thinking
Mhm.
that in the moment. So I
Okay.
want to watch it real quick.
Well, we are also like you're hinting at as well as like there's a medical and a ritual
Well, no,
context to
well,
using the purple.
no. We know the medical exists. We're wondering
Yeah.
where is the cultic. We don't know. There's no mention of any cultic usage of burning purple anywhere. We already know about the medical use. We've been talking about it forever.
If it's an antidote where if you're taking a death-inducing drug,
What
you're going to have
death-inducing
to
drug? What are you talking about? What
He's
death-inducing drug?
saying
You're talking
according
about the
to Hillman's
Yeah,
hypothesis.
you're already just
According to
you just
Hillman's
presuppose
hypothesis,
Ammon's. What you just did there. I'm not trying to be like you just presuppose
you're
Ammon's
good.
right about this. So Ammon
Oh.
mentions death-inducing drugs and antidotes. We had never seen anything like that before. Ammon doesn't ever show us. Ammon used to tell me when I first met him.
All right, we don't need to go into that. So,
Yeah.
so essentially, Neil and Steven are basically like asking, okay, what's the evidence? They have you on, and supposedly they think you're like an Ammonite, and
Mhm.
then you're like, hey, well, in the ancient world, the drugs had a medical aspect as well, and vice versa.
Mhm.
So like, and then you mentioned uh, something Ammon said, and or at least
Yeah.
one Ammon's
Taking the
views. So,
death
like, are you
inducing.
defending Ammon there, or like, what was your position at this time? Like, did you think Ammon was right about that, or you weren't sure? What were you trying to say there?
To the point of like a death inducing like drug, like if you're taking too much hembane, or like mixed with like mandrake and etc., like with other drugs, like it's if you're trying to have a causative like state or like but it's going to end up killing you. You're trying to produce effects where what's the word I'm looking for? Like the terminology for cultic purposes and pharmaceutical purposes, like there's a fine line. Like there are healing and remedy properties to all these things, but like anything, like nowadays, like with recreational drugs, if you take too much of something, you're gonna die from it. So the antidote which like there's tons of different theriacs or like antidotes like for specific um, reasons behind them. But what I was trying to get to is that like when you look at like either PGM or like even in the time frame of Galen, like there are first to second century like PGM like writings, and like the earliest ones are like first like century like BC, like when they start getting into it. But like what I've seen like when it comes to like I think we're specifically talking about like the with the purple, like like when he was asking about like the burning purple, like that is an actual sensation that does happen. But does that like if it's not burnt or burning, because there's fumigation, there's if you apply the raw flesh of the murex, like if you grind it up, because even like how they get the purple, it's like if that fish knows it's about to die, that blue, like it's blue at first, it just disappears. Like the fish gets rid of it. Like there's even a process to even extract this shit. Like, but if you like all the meats and like the membrane of this stuff, if you make a raw jelly out of it, there are purposes for it being like I sent you like some stuff from like Dioscorides like discussing this. There's an acidic property to it where it's kind of like a what does he say or Galen when you add it to vinegar, it has a reaction that's trying to burn out the cause of like what's going wrong with you. Now, some people ingest it or like they insert it in other aspects, but there's burning properties to it. But when you apply it to the skin, it's not like they refer to it as like stinging or biting. So like when they what's the word I'm trying to think of? What's it called? I'm trying to think like I can't
It's
think of
not
it
a
off
big
the
deal.
top of my
You
head.
can tell us later when we.
But what I was trying to get them to understand, it's like, okay, you may have not like, which I think like Stephen, in a sense, he's looked into like the source that I sent like that day, and like, like I forget which podcast it was, like not recent. Like he's looked into it, and like yes, there are examples of the terminology saying that like when applied, it has a burning effect. Not meaning like it's like burning, like it's not on fire, but like the sensation of it, like it has like because it has a cause that because like Galen's whole four humors is hot, cold, wet, and dry. And that's how he identifies like if something is wrong with you, if you're trying to heal a part of you, either being ulcers, tumors, like he's trying to pull that out. Okay, like he's trying to heal it. He even has a drying like effects to it. Like drying can be like dried out skin. Um, if you're trying to pull coldness out of the body, or like then you want to put a heating application to it. It's not just alone like the Murex shell is just applied. It's mixed with other things. Now, in the cultic aspect of it, like I was trying to talk, like where they're mixing multiple things at once, like and it has even like like when they first like it's colorless until you apply like specific like liquids to it. Then the color comes out. Like the dye part of it is completely different than the medical like application to it. So like Tyrian purple, like the process to make it, it takes thousands of them to extract that dye. But the shells that are left over and the other membrane parts of the of like the fit, like, whatever, it's like a snail. Like there's applications for it. Now that it's completely different, but how they label it, like in the lexicons, like porphyra, um, polyphora, there's like onyx. Like when it's burnt, like when the shell is burnt and made into a dust, when it's black. Now when it's white, now if the dust, if the shell is not burnt, it's different. Like there's different uses for it, like, different properties to it. Like they're even mixing this stuff in perfume. Like where it has different properties, like for it. Um, but Galen most of the time would call it conchulolis. I think it's how you say it. They like conch, um, conchulolis. I think it's how it's said. Um, and there's other terms if he's identifying the different like reasons it's being used for specific remedies.
Hmm.
And again, like when you're trying to identify that, you have to know like all the different terminologies. It's not just Murex or Porphyra. There's other labelings and the terminology for it. And Dioscorides, which Galen was a big um, student of Dioscorides. Yeah, they were like over a century apart, but he still looked to his writings, Pliny the Elder, which is also in the realm of Dioscorides. They never knew each other, but they still were in the same time span of like studying these things. Like Dioscorides has like 3 to 4 times more material than like what it comes to like Pliny does. But that's just what was available to him, what he was studying like at the time. When it comes to, like herbal, like medicine and stuff. Now when it comes to like sea creatures, venomous bites, other things, they're pretty like equal when it comes to that. But again, they're still learning from like similar what we call universities or schools at the time. Like they're still going like, and then even with Galen had like 8 or 9 different teachers over his lifetime, and he refutes like in his later works he refutes a lot of like their practices and like what they were like writing about. Like he like specifically like, he hates magicians. Like he completely like hates like folk remedy like medicine, and like where not to say hate, that's a strong word, but he um he always tries to find a way to refute like the claims that are made, um or if he sees a practice being done how to treat certain things, he'll just it's, like, it's disgusting to him, like when you apply like feces and other things like that, like to like the body for specific, ailments. Like he just thinks it's like gross. Even like excreta, like 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 vaginal like mucus and stuff, or even semen. Like Stephen is right about like when it comes to like the Hippocratic like state, or he had like gonos is like what it's called, GONOS. It's like for semen, where he has specific, I guess you could say, terminology and like reflection on why like prior physicians wrote about these things and said they would cure or um, help with specific things. Like, but like he doesn't believe in it. He thinks that there's other methods to the madness, for instance, like to use like other remedies, um, like Xenocrates. Xenocrates um, he's like at the end of like the first century. Um, I think he's like Xenocrates of Aphrodisia or something like that. I think it's Aphrodisia. Um, he recommends mixing again his like writing. He recommends using semen, murex, and like frankincense and something else for tumors and burns and other things like that. Where Galen's like, no, like why are you adding semen to this? It's gross to him. Like it's like where like, he has a more like natural look to it. It's like why are we adding this? Like we're having to, who are we getting this from? Like basically, like because again you have to try to find all these ingredients, and when you're looking at like the original sources, um I should say original, like the primary sources or where these guys learning this information from. That's where I get the best information is like where are they learning this from? If they talk about it, not all the time you'll find that like where these physicians are discussing how they learn these processes. But good thing that we have like Materia Medica from Dioscorides and like Pliny the Elder, like because they go into great detail about these things, and they do discuss on how they learned it and their process of like even like making these things. Like Pliny goes into like great detail on how the murex is processed. Aristotle like even like discusses it, but like Pliny goes into like great detail, and he says it's the most awfulest smell in the world. Like it just smells awful. Like the processing areas for it. Like he's like you do not want to be anywhere near like while this stuff is being made, and yeah. Sorry, that
Interesting.
was like
No,
long-winded.
you're good. So I wanted to ask specifically because you
Mhm.
mentioned something like, "Hey, with the death-inducing drug," and Neil
Mhm.
and Steve interpret that as, "Hey, we don't even know that text exists," and
Right.
they're like you're talking about it like as if it exists, if it's a real
Mhm.
thing, um, and it sounds like you're just kind of like parroting Ammon. So, so two questions. One, at this time, like, did you actually think this death-inducing drug existed, and like you were just going off of it, like, or like, do you still think that there's an actual death-inducing drug?
I believe that it's how you interpret what they're writing about. Like, where, in my opinion, there are death-inducing drugs. Like, if you take too much opium, it's a death-inducing drug, correct? Or if you take like too much like hemlock or mandrake, if you take too much of it, you're going to go into a death state. How do you combat that? Like, what would you take to fix that? Like, to bring you out of that crisis, I think it's what it's called. Like, how would you take yourself out of that state of being? Um, so yes, like there is. Is it always like what Ammon is talking about? No. Like, where it's interpretation. Like, he's interpreting the context and trying to convey it to the audience that yes. Now, how about, like I said, like I found like where purple does burn in certain instances, like when it's applied in a certain way to your body. Now, does that mean like Ammon is right about like burning purple? No, we don't know if the kid had a purple sindon. Like, it doesn't say a purple sindon like was like wrapped around like his weenie. I'll just say weenie. Now, do they, as he says, they impregnate, you know, the wool? That's the thing too. Linen specifically does not take well to dyeing effects because it's a parchment. It's like a paper. It comes from a reed, whereas wool does. Okay, so we don't know like if like there'd be now like there'd be an instance of that, but like do they dye wool? Yes, we know that. There's scores of evidence of that. Purple, okay, like it has different uses on like for blood clotting. Like I sent you an article on like the for like either depends on the use of it. It either stops blood or it induces blood flow. Like it helps women have like their period basically, or get rid of birth after birth, etc. Um, or again, like if there's like over bleeding and stuff, like Galen goes into detail on how like again like it's pulling out blood most of the time. It's the use of it. It has like a burning effect because that has to do with the biology. Now, when you look into the biology of all this stuff, it's like how they know all this. It's cause and effect. Like they're going to notice these things, and again, they're not always going to convey it on a piece of paper. Now, is Ammon interpreting this because he may have read somewhere, 300 years this way they said this, and 300 years that way they reported it to be that? Yeah, like he does that. Like it's like there's no doubt that he does that. Like, you know, a good example is how Stephen was going through lexiconic evidence of, okay, like in this time period, this is the way this word was meant and how it was understood. In this time period, it means something completely different. Like, that is true in both cases, but like, you can't just say, like, in my opinion at least, like 1,000 years ago this is what this meant, and then like 2,000 years ago or later this is what they mean now, which is like, okay, both statements are true, but if you're trying to connect it to like how an individual was trying to come across in that time period, you can't jump around like that much because they didn't have just like dictionaries opened everywhere. You had to look for what things were meaning in the time period, right? Where it can mean this, but it doesn't always mean like that. Like in like like the like Korea, like how in the time of like the Gospels being written, like how like Christ ended up being like the anointed one, whereas like previously it's like it's an application of to smear or to rub on a pharmaceutical, or It could be other things like a plaster. Like if you make a concoction and you smear something on the wall, you know you're creoing the wall. Like it doesn't mean you're doing anything bad, or it can be a fine line between pharmaceutical terminology to like a normal everyday terminology. Like if you're
You don't
smearing
think the
something on
wall
the
is doing
wall,
drugs?
oh definitely. Like the walls are on drugs, man. DMT's everywhere. You know, have you seen the
Shoot.
machine elf? Like why don't the ancients ever talk about machine elves? But that's what all people talk about is all they see nowadays.
What is it?
like,
No, I've
like
never heard of this. What are you saying?
machine elves when they take too much DMT,
Oh
like and
my
they're in the
gosh.
woods. Yeah, like it's like, well, I mean, acacia was readily used like in Egypt and like the blue water lily, but they never talk about elves.
Yeah,
I just
that's
that's
fun.
a little funny side note.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, okay. That answers that question. There later in the conversation, you say, "Hey," uh, like they asked you, "What are the sources?" And then you pulled up
Mhm.
some um,
And I think sorry,
information.
what that was about. I told Steven to look up. It's Dan Dodotis book 2, volume 14, I believe. Instead of chapters, they have volumes for everyone out there that don't understand that. Um, but and it's like I forget the lines, like 145, 150. And that's Galen. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no,
It's later in
I
the
appreciate that. Maybe people can check that out. I think that you're like without seeing these sources, like what you're saying makes total sense. And
Mhm.
like they're not sounding like far fetched or anything like that. It sounds like completely legit. So yeah, I'm really interested to read like some of the stuff you sent me already, and then and like keep going because I think Galen clearly is talking about some crazy stuff. Maybe it's not like super cult like and as what Amon says, but I think it's definitely worth talking about. So that would be cool to check into that. But
Mhm.
um, so in this video though, and this is a while ago, so maybe your opinions have changed, but it seemed
Mhm.
like you were giving some sources, and then Steven and Neil were trying to pull it up, and they weren't able to. And it might have been like the website, but then it seemed like maybe some of the sources were having some problems, and then you said, okay, well, I got it from AI, which is like
Mhm.
it's normal for people to like think, okay, maybe AI is being legit, but also I would assume that you also know now that AI just fabricates stuff. It just makes stuff up sometimes because
Yeah.
it wants to
Okay.
make
Yeah.
the users happy. So I guess my real question for you is like, um, I'm not saying like, hey, you look dumb or anything. Or well, I mean, maybe people would think you look dumb, but I'm not saying that you are dumb because of that. But my question for you is, um, like, did you look it up in AI and you just assumed that it existed, or
Mhm.
like
You have to
because
show
I
me
could
the
see
clip.
two different ways. So one is like, hey, I've seen it or I've seen something like it. I'm just going to look it up in AI to try to get it. I know it
Mhm.
exists, but another way to look at it is like, Ammon told me it exists. I'm just going to go
Mhm.
look it up in AI because Ammon said it exists. So I'm going to believe it. And obviously, ChatGPT is going to tell me correctly because Ammon's the scholar. So, like, there's
Right.
two different ways you can look at that. And I'm just curious, like,
Mhm.
what was your thought process there when you were like, shoot, uh, it's not even coming up with the right source? And, like, did you
Mhm.
actually think that it existed at the time?
You have to show me the clip that you're referring to,
Oh, yeah.
because then
Yeah, I
it,
can do
it
that.
will help me, and it would just help me like if I looked further into like what we were talking about. It could have been like I'm going off of like memory. Like it could have been like how the conversation was going, and they were like asking me like specific things, like have you seen this? Have you seen? He's like I was getting flooded with questions by them, and it's like I can't like
So
say
did
on
you
one
look
thing
up
and then
AI as you were on that conversation, or was that before?
that was like during the conversation where it's like I use it as like a sometimes as like a helpful tool to
Sure.
point me to like I'll ask
Right.
for like
Same.
what is the source or primary source or is this said in antiquity?
Yeah.
It's like it all depends on how you question it, and
Right.
then follow what comes up. Like you just can't go off of what the words are saying. Like if they don't have like little bars next to it to show you where the information is coming from,
Right.
like even like the whole what's kind of crazy is like at least ChatGPT. It's a little side note, but like if you look up the Mark 14 with like the Sindone and purple and stuff, it will say that fringe YouTube
Oh yeah.
channels. Sorry, and it will mention Ammon.
That's kind of funny. That's pretty
It's
funny.
and it'll say like not like it doesn't. It cautions you to like due to conspiracy speculation. Like it will bring. It's like damn. Like even AI is like, what the fuck is he talking about? Or it's all conspiracy. Like this is like this fantasy land, but like I just thought that was funny. But you can look up
Yeah.
the clip.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
talk about
Well,
it.
no, you make a funny point because, yeah, AI is weird. So, like, if you put in enough, like, if you just randomly create an account and you're like, hey, what is the evidence for a flat Earth? Like,
Right.
the AI is going to be like, this is the evidence, but it's not really evidence, and this is all
Mhm.
pseudo conspiracy stuff. But
Right.
if you like ask about 30 questions and you like challenge it, and then AI gets to the point
Mhm.
where they're like, okay, this clearly guy is a flat earther, it'll start
Yeah.
changing the answers to like talk as if all this other evidence doesn't exist. So like,
It's confirmation bias, and
yeah,
like where
right,
it knowingly knows it's trying to make, like you said, happy. Like it's
yeah,
not trying to piss you off.
right,
Or, I mean, sometimes you can ask it to, refute like what you're trying to look for. To like why is this argued against and why is this argued for? And that's when like again, like if you're not asking in the right context or expanding on the thought experiments mostly like if you're not expanding upon it, you're just looking for your like, I just want a quick answer. It's like that's not explaining anything. Like you're not really learning that way. Like most of the time, like, what I'm doing, I'm looking for people that are writing about these things, or that there's articles with multiple different like people like attached to it, to where then I can go look at these different people and look at what they're saying or what their research is. Um, and even that, like even like with peer reviewed research, like sometimes people aren't thinking about like you know certain like I guess you could say what's it called like fields of study. They're looking for money for people to fund them, and sometimes there is bias in it, and other times like there's real research like into things. So like you got to be able to distinguish the difference. And my thing is like you can learn from good information, but you can also learn from bad information. Like, oh, this is totally fucked. Why do people believe this? Like, type of scenario, or it's like trying to understand the other side. Like when you're trying to analyze it, like psychotherapy. Like, why do people believe it? Like you're saying, like flat Earth. Like why do people believe this?
mm-hmm.
And and it's not that you're trying to like even like if I get claimed as an Ammonite, it's like look, I'm trying to understand why he thinks this shit and like why he's like saying these things.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's a thought experiment. It's like, and then when it comes down to it, like I think Steven approaches it the same way. Like, it's like at first it comes off as like okay, like he's making these claims, you're just going with it, and then when you start to look into it, and it's like why does he think that? Where is he getting this
What's the word
information
for
from?
purple? Because I know that word
Um,
Yos has the word is
for it.
like a purple, it's like a shade of.
Mm. You didn't hear that, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh gosh, sorry. That's
You're good.
StreamYard for you. Okay, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You can keep going.
Okay, like Steven like treats it like as a thought experiment because then like when he looks into it, like he is actually trying to understand like why is he doing this, like in this or saying these things. Again, like Almond, he grabs from like 7 to 8 different worlds and tries to bring it all together and say, that all Christians were, a part of a sex cult, which it's like, no, like, yeah, like there are like inspirational things that even like, in Euripides or other people, like they write about and heresies and stuff, like where it could be good information or bad information. Like these church fathers could be like, or Eusebius or whatever his name, how you say his name. Um, and forgive me, I can't always say every word. Like I'm from the South. Forgive me, people. Like I'm just a country boy that tries to learn. I swear I'm doing good, Daddy. I'm sure I try to learn my language good. Um, but like even like when they refute certain things or they're talking about the Ophites or the Nassenes and stuff, like you as the reader need to know that like not everything is going to be like verbatim word for word like what was actually going on. It again like follow the evidence. Like if you can find other historical, it's like what's his name, during like the Persian Greco War, Xenophon. Um, he was on the Persian side. He was only writing good things about the Persians, and then on the Greek side, it's like completely different. Like stories and battles, like stories told. It's like you got to be able to like look at both sides, not have a biased opinion. Only the Greeks were in the good. They were the good guys in all this, and it's like you have to the historicity of it, and a lot of these subjects goes deeper than just like one or two people's opinions about things. So like you gotta expand on it. And like with me, like I said to people, it's like I just take it with a grain of salt until I look further into it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So, I mean, we could talk about the whole AI thing. I'll play a quick clip here. I don't know. You don't really actually explain too much about the actual sources, just because the way the conversation is going, not necessarily your fault. But I mean, we can watch it. Maybe it'll jog your memory. If not, we can go on to a different topic. No problem.
Purple. Let's see. What is this? Is this it?
So if you go to on page,
so this is the word for poison. This is poison. Hold on.
Sorry, go ahead.
Poisons, Therion, which would be beast, and then sting, dagmasi. So some sort of stinging of poisons right here. I'm on page 200 though. I wish we could just look at what you're looking at, man. No offense. I just want to see what you're looking at. What?
Yeah, I don't think you realized that you typed in all the AI or whatever before.
Can you send me a screenshot or something? What are you looking at?
I'm having AI help me right now. On the summary of key pages of the Kuhn Volume 14.
Can you do me a favor? Can you ask? Did you hallucinate that? Just do it.
Yeah. So like so obviously from Neil's book. What'd you say?
Okay, and when I ask if it's hallucinating, it says no. So what he's talking about is the Kuhn edition of De Antidotus, Book 2, Volume 14. Like he's asking like for like the actual terminology that's being used. I'm looking at an English translation from it, and when I was pulling it up on my side, it just kept pulling this up for me. But I'm trying to look up word for word like what he's doing and actually put it through LSJ and then go through like the lexicon on it, like that way. And again, like I should have been on a computer for this, like to go through all of it. Because then like it just works faster than like, and plus like StreamYard, like it's paused on me because I'm looking it up at this point where I'm reading from like like what it's showing me, but in real time like I'm trying to like he kept asking me more questions into it where it's like okay like I'm reading, I'm trying to find it, and then like I'm using AI to like help me find specific words that he's asking me about, and where I'm trying to use it as a helpful tool, but then I'm trying to make sure the claim I'm saying is not just like off the cuff, like it's just like whatever. It's like okay, here it says it right here. in that instance.
Yeah.
Again, like
All right.
he's right. Like sometimes it can hallucinate where it's coming up with something, or it's giving its reason, like in AI on like, or not reason, like it's not until you ask like the actual words and like where it's at, and then and then like the actual like on archive.org or
Mhm.
Perseus Cuff or wherever it may be that that you read like these older books on. um it's just gonna like show you just whatever the AI is saying.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like until you do that, it's like I think like earlier, like in the when Steven was on, like we were talking about, and then we came back to this. So I think
Yeah.
at least.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. All right. So uh there was one thing I think upset people a little bit. I'm not even sure that people understood what you were really saying. But this was in the more recent one. So we'll watch what Ammon says and then watch your response to that.
Bible, it says he was there. It says twice he was naked. It says he had a skin on. And people say, oh, whew,
Here we go.
Some kind of sheet that covered him up, right? No.
No.
On the medical side, if you look in Galen, the Sindon is a medicated rat
Doesn't say that.
that you give to a boy during an antidote
Now,
in a mystery rite.
no,
And that
that's-
boy's
that's
antidote
secondary.
comes
That's
through
secondary.
his ejaculation.
Oh my God.
Pre-pubertal.
Ryan, do you believe
And the
it?
doctors describe, Galen has a section of his
I like how Neil's just so excited to ask you to like
Oh,
challenge
yeah,
you, like,
couldn't,
Ryan, do you believe this? You don't believe this. This is craziness, right? You don't believe this.
antidotes
Wait.
that
He's still
describes
talking.
what
I
pre-pubertal
got you, but it's
is
just
like.
What'd you say?
which is like, I get it. The audience, they want blood, or his audience, sometimes they want blood. And like, I just was not giving it to them that
No,
night.
not that
Even
day
like,
for sure.
it's like I'm not gonna say like, yes, it says like me, like I will follow the evidence. Now, have I been looking for it? Yes. Ever since that video, I've reached out to him again, asking him for like the source, like if it's untranslated, like in etc. Like about like is this? Gosh, that's 5 pounds of fury right there.
Sounds like it. You're getting excited about those sources.
I know. Show me the purple. No, but no. So what Amon is talking about, like with the Sindon and like the uses for it, like he's again like he's taking 3 or 4 different things and putting it into one and trying to make it from like one source. You catch me on that, where it's like he's taking like a PGM text, which, as like they showed last night, could be 3, 4, 500 years after the Gospels are written, and saying, "Look," but then he's saying, and he's mentioning Galen. Like Galen will mention like there are specific uses for a Sindon. Like it can be a medicated wrap, but there's other uses for it. That's not its only purpose. like it's not just, oh, that's the only use for it.
Right.
End of story. Like there are other uses for it, and like I was hinting on earlier, like a Sindon or a linen cloth is, it does not take well to purple. Like it does not dye very well. Now I've seen where it is colorless, and then when you apply it to something, it will turn like to a different hue, like yellow to a green to a blue, a red, then like to a purple. But that's because it's exposure to sunlight. Like it has nothing to do with like occultic meaning for it. Like it's just having its cause and effect happen, like when it's applied to like whatever part of the body. If you're wrapping anything with it. Now again, like when they go into like the whole like the Sindone being wrapped around like if it could have been it could have been like what how Greeks wear like togas like we don't know how this was actually wrapped around his body like and how like Stephen breaks it down it's like is like the better way to have to explain it to people but Ammon is just like cut and dry with it like again like he doesn't fully explain like the reasoning for like why he believes these things. He just says like I see it here, but he doesn't expand upon it. Again, when you go look for it, like you can't find it usually, or sometimes like you can, but it's like in a completely different time period,
Right.
and it's like where again like it's being disingenuous because you're trying to have people have a picture in their mind or a thought occur and then it's like okay this is truth this is what happened and that's just not how like most of these things work like I found like in like the PGM around like 1 to 200 AD where they discuss wrapping pre-pubertal boys in linen. It's for divination rituals, mind you, um, where they will wrap them in the cloth, point them to a certain or point them away from the sun. This is like a nighttime ritual, mind you. Um, they will lay them down, like they will chant, specific words to them, and they're blindfolded because like they're completely wrapped because it's a resurrection, quote unquote, type of ritual. Um, and then when they remove like the blindfold, they'll have them look into like water bowls or like stone, like polished stones, or they'll have them look at the flame of a candle to try to speak or convey messages from the other realm and stuff. Now, like I've seen that, but do I see that what's going on like with Mark 14? Not completely, unless like again, like is it a metaphor to whatever's going on? Like it is like my opinion, like the whole thing that's going on in Mark, it gets very curious, like like whatever's going on in there.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't know for sure if what was going on. Was he a servant? Was he just a slave, et cetera, et cetera? Like the even the Neoniskos like thing, like it's Paides means an actual child,
Mm-hmm.
which Stephen goes over it very greatly. Like I think only in like 1 or 2 videos Ammon has ever admitted to saying that. Now, like in these PGM rituals, they use Paides or Neoniskos, like another like like because they're looking for pure boys basically like who haven't gone through maturity at a certain level or ritually clean but you can be ritually clean by not eating certain foods for a certain amount of time um only like basically fasting and stuff so there's all different ways to be ritually quote unquote ritually clean but like are they writing that like in like these books no because when they're writing these texts they're writing it to the point where they think the reader that's reading this is going to know what's going on. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? Like where
Yeah.
like they're writing these things as if they know their targeted audience. Just like today, like we have fantasy books. Let's just use Lord of the Rings for instance. That's just a simple one. It's like it has a targeted audience and where in the future then you have all these other myth and lore fantasy novels that come out and people are interested in it because it's just what they like their mind to go back then they didn't like yeah we had myths and legends of things but
Mm-hmm.
it's not how it is today how it's expanded upon like I don't know if that's making sense or not but like
No, I mean, yeah, you're definitely right. So, you always have to ask what is the target audience because somebody that is writing back then is not going to say a bunch of random stuff that doesn't make any sense that their audience is never going to like. It's
Right.
theoretically possible you can be unclear with your language, but they're not going to say
Mhm.
something that just completely doesn't make any
Left
sense to their
field.
audience. Like nobody's that just doesn't make any sense. It would be a waste of money. A lot of the times these things took a lot of money to write. So yeah, so
There's intention. You know, there's intention to it, and even like when you have later church fathers when they make corrections or they add in specific,
uh-huh.
you know, their way of interpreting things, or even specific books. You know, Codex Vaticanus is nothing similar to the King James Bible. Like it's like well, one, like the language is different, the translations are slightly different. Well, there's a lot of inaccuracies, but like um, that's a whole nother topic of itself. But like still, like the language is adapting through the time period. And so like when we're reading this stuff, we got to set ourselves back in that book. That's why like I do appreciate like Stephen, like he does encourage people to read like the Greek, like the or like the Orthodox. I think he's Orthodox um, um, translation because it's getting to the original primary source of how the Gospels were written. So like when I'll encourage like my friends and family that like have you read like you know like a Greek translation? Most like I'd say 95% of the time, what the fuck are you talking about? Like they don't even know that it was written in Greek. They thought it was Latin. Like and it's like oh wow okay well just look at it you know and like I don't try to push anything on them. Like I don't care what people believe or don't believe, but it's like what Ammon does is he tries to mix cultic activity mixed like with religious zeal, and sometimes it just doesn't work. Yes, like you can make connections to Cabal and Judaism and Zoroastrianism, you know, mix it with you know pseudo Christian theologies and stuff all day. Yeah, you can do that, but again, like it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's like he never has a point to it, like other than saying like, he labels it like in a way to where he's trying to make you think of it different. Even like Medea, it's like well, technically Medea was drugging, you know, boys and girls too, and but you know, but you don't look down on that, but you revere her, and it's like you know she was doing these similar things, you know, but she had justice behind her, and like you put again, you try to add like a you know identification of like, but she was right for doing those things. She was treated bad and blah blah blah, and it's like well, the underlying thing is it's like, well, I mean, it's not good to poison anybody if they're doing good or bad. Like, you know, your platonic view or sophistic, you know, view on things. Like, it's just, I don't know. I think he does more harm than good when it comes to that because again, it's just confusing people. Like, and there is a considerable amount of just like zoning out I see like you know either it be like comments or discussions being had to where it's just like it doesn't matter what he says. It's like they treat him as J.R.R. Tolkien is what I was trying to get to earlier. Like this shit is real. Like this Elvish language was actual real Elvish language that Tolkien found, and you know it was Tartaria or whatever the fuck. I'm just joking now, but like you know, like you know, there really are elves and you know trolls and stuff. We just don't see them anymore. We killed them all, you know. And then that gets in. It's like it's just fantasy. Like a lot of this is like it's like fantasy level thinking, but you gotta know, like even like this stuff in the Greek magical papyra. It's like not all this shit works. It's
Mm.
like people treat it as like as it is gospel. Like even practitioners of like in like the 19th and 18th centuries, like or Carl Jung. People know who Carl Jung is.
Hmm.
It's like it's all mental. Like it's all like mental, and that can be assumed as medicine too. Like where you know your mental state is like you know medically like something you can label. But like a lot of this is like if you believe this is happening and you think this is going on, some people call it psychosis. Like where you know like with like my wife, there's some things that she does. It's just like if it makes her happy, cool. As long as she's not doing these like crazy spells like on me, like I'm cool. Like I always say on her good side. But it's like, but I'm not gonna like belittle what she thinks. Most of the time I try to help her to understand what she's like doing. And she'll, sometimes she'll be like, wait, what? That means what? And I'm like, yeah, like here it is. Like
Oh wow.
and like where she's like, oh my god, I didn't know I was doing that, or like et cetera, whatever it may be. Like um yeah, I mean, sorry, I went on a tangent there.
No, you're good. No, that's really interesting. It's really interesting. So I don't really want to spend too much time looking at the clips, but there was one other one where so Steven and Neil, they're like, hey, so Amon never tells us the source for Galen. Vivian Nutton, we talked to him directly. He's like the expert. He knows a ton of stuff. He says this is baloney, that it doesn't make sense. It contradicts. You said yourself that what Galen says about like he doesn't really like the cult stuff, the religious stuff. He tries to disprove it. And then they've talked before about how that what Ammon's theory is with the prepubescent boy doesn't make any sense because Galen would not have thought that prepubescent people could ejaculate. So like that just wouldn't make any sense. So for Ammon to say, hey, this text exists, just doesn't make any sense. And his followers don't know it exists. If you ask them, like they'll push you, you can push them crazy hard, like they kind of try to push you in the past. And like no matter what, like these, like a lot of these followers, like you do a lot better than a lot of these other guys because these other people are like, yeah, it definitely exists. It definitely exists. That's what Madalena said. It definitely, the sources definitely exist. Okay, well, the sources. Well, well, see, the thing is that there was this thing, and then another thing happened. Like they'll just like make up all these like excuses. Long story short, what I'm saying is, in this video,
They go outside of their depth of the
oh sure,
understanding.
right. But they just assume that what he's saying is true. They just assume it. Which is like, it's not a crazy thing to assume, but once you have all the evidence, like you got to be willing to change your mind, like clearly you've done, at least for some regard. But in the video, like you said yourself, you said that, hey, we don't know what Nutton has read, we don't know what Ammon has read, and you seem to imply, and we can actually watch it. Actually, no, it would take like 2 seconds here. Let's just watch it.
I don't hear
it. Because
Sorry.
Okay.
Confirmation was no, it doesn't exist. And in particular, the whole idea of prepubertal sperm can't exist in Galen's system because it can't exist in the Hippocratic system, because according to Hippocrates, once you start emitting semen, puberty has then begun. That is the event that kicks off puberty.
Point of puberty, right?
So as far as Nutton is concerned, first of all, let me just say this. His first response to that was that I think he probably just can't read Greek very well.
I want to hear your
response. I think he can, but that's
like you're saying, like, we don't know what Nutton's read, and we don't know everything that Ammon has read. Yes, he has not.
Well, we know what Nutton has.
So then, yeah, Steven's like, hey, yeah, so we know some of what he's, but like, so it is a fair point to say, hey, some scholars don't have perfect memory. You mentioned Bart Ehrman says some crazy stuff sometimes, and so like, if one scholar says, hey, I don't know if this exists, then like it's a fair point to say, hey, well, like he could be forgetting, like he's not omniscient. He didn't read every single source probably. But what Neil and Steven are saying is, hey, like every indication gives us the indication that Ammon just made this up, and it contradicts with what he's saying. So to people listening, this gave people the impression that like, hey, this guy is he's just delusional. Like he's like, it's possible, and I'm just gonna keep looking. But they wanted you to say, hey, no, like every indication is that it doesn't exist. So, I mean, what do you think about that? Like, do you think it actually could exist still? Like, is there even a possibility at this point?
I would say it's always possible, but has it come forth? No, it hasn't come forth yet. I've asked Ammon like for like the book that he's read this from. Like again, if it's translated or untranslated, like nothing does mention that there are many books, but more stuff is coming or many untranslated books. Like again, like it's going to take a special individual to find this, and Nutton's approach to Galen, he's been writing this shit for like, I think I saw it was like 40, 50 years, like publishing on it. Like a lot of sources that I find, like it will have Nutton like at the bottom and stuff. Like, so it's not like, so when I saw that name when he first did, like, I was like, I recognize that name somewhere.
Oh,
and then when I was like, oh, that's that dude. Like,
yep.
Where so I've seen his name like over the years, so it's like, oh, sweet, you know. But like something I made in a comment, which like I did it in a way just to try to, like, you know, poke at them about, like, well, John Scarborough, you know, he did write a like a review on one of Nutton's books, like in like the late '90s, and he does go through like on how great of a researcher he is, but there is like a big paragraph in there where he does like state, like, you know, like that he doesn't have a lot of cultic medicinal knowledge in the terminology what's going on, or like knowledge of that going on inside of Galen text. Whereas like if you look at Scarborough's work, he does go into great detail about a lot of those things. So like he still like gives him, you know, his kudos and everything. Like which I was just doing that just to like poke the bear in a sense, which it's like, again, like you know, shame on me, sorry for doing that. But like again, like I'm trying to keep the conversation going and not just be like, oh, yep, nothing said it. You know, there it is. You know, debate is or like not debate, like the conversation is over, because this has been a continuous conversation. It's going to go on for probably years until like we get this, we get a real source saying or not saying this stuff. It's like it's going to keep getting brought up, which is like I feel like it's good for the arena of academia, because like, you know, it's being expounded upon, like it's being looked into. Now, again, like extraordinary claims needs real evidence to it, and so far, like I haven't gotten a response from mom, and I probably never will. Again, like I'm not like in like, you know, the pyramid or sense of that, you know, like where I've had like maybe like out of all the people that are in there, like I've only had maybe like 2 conversations in private messages with people, and again, they don't say what they really think in those in then like the main server, because they know most of these real conversations that we're having, it's not going to be looked upon, because like we're trying to investigate it and trying to figure out this stuff. Like last night, like I was having a talk with I forget it. I think he wants to be known as Kyle. And like
He's in the
hearing
chat right
like
now. His name is Jack. He's not
oh,
Kyle.
Jack.
No matter what he says, don't listen to him.
Anyway, like I could tell like he's looked into this stuff extensively,
Sure.
based on like his, you know, the curriculum of books that he's looking for these sources too, and he still hasn't been able to see it after so many years. And which it's like I don't completely focus like on this, but when it gets brought up, it's like, okay, here's like what I have. Like I sent you like um a PDF of like of specific entries of things on like where people can look up like a specific word terminology, or like even like with Plenty, for like the specific uses. Like there's the books, the chapter, etc. Um, I think like with Galen and Diascoria, those are just like the three like main ones. I didn't want to make it like 20 pages long, but like most of the stuff is just like simplified exclamation or explanations to terminology and like the uses for specific things. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Well, hey, while we're at it, let's pull up something. So here
yeah.
is some Galen.
Mm-hmm.
This is a fun one. Surgery of Erycthos. So this is obviously a
Oh
lot
yeah.
to read, and you can even get the Latin here. But
Mhm.
what stood out to you here? What was worth reading, or what do you what does it say that draws your attention?
It's it's the extraction method of how here, where is it at? Uh, probably that first like it's like it when you read this type of stuff, you got to set yourself back in that time period on how they're conveying this information. Again,
Hmm.
like they're writing it as if it's either only for people that are with knowledge or a background like in studies of this stuff. It's not like everyone back in the day or 2,000 years ago, like most people were illiterate to a certain point. They weren't having like unless you came from money, like you weren't like understanding these concepts. So like when you're reading it, like or they're writing it for people that know what's going on. A person, hold on, I'm
Actually, I
done.
think what I showed earlier wasn't Galen. I went to the wrong page. But well, this is at least how to smell nice. Galen's advice for doctors.
Oh yeah, he's always about that. And then being a philosophy, you got to be a student in philosophy in order to be a good physician.
How not to talk to patients. It's
Which,
hilarious.
yeah, yeah. Basically, how not to be a dick. Have some empathy.
Oh no, I was wrong. I was wrong. That was Galen. I just didn't word it right on the page. That's
Oh, you're good.
Galen from Hippocrates, Epidemics. But yeah. Anyways, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're good. Like, um, I think which book is it? It's like materia. Like it's like on simplified drug. Yeah, simple drugs. Um, I remember off the top of my head.
I'll put this in the description.
I can't remember if I sent. Here, hold on. Let me. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Put me on speaker.
Oh, is that bad? Am I
No, I
echoing?
don't care. No, it's totally fine.
Hold on.
I'm just playing.
Hold on. I put my other earbud in. I could. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, good. Let me see
I really
if I
do.
can without.
I do like the
No, if I take it off the.
reading text like
Take it
this,
off the.
just because it's so. It's like, what were these people concerned about 2,000 years ago? It's like
Mhm.
advice for doctors on how to smell nice. What, like that is
Oh yeah, you
not
gotta think
anything I'm
like.
ever gonna think of. Even like considering like what would an ancient person be thinking?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, think about it, like there's no telling like the smells that were going on back in the day.
Mm.
even
Oh
like how
god.
like Galen goes into like great detail. Like he can tell like how a certain stench off of a sore, like what it like like it's not just like yellow bile, black bile, like he can just tell like, oh yep, you're dead. Like basically like it's gotten to the point where it's just rotting. And it's in your bloodstream. Like you have no time to live.
Oh
Like
gosh.
yeah, like it's basically like I did find though, like I sent you a link on it that where Murex
This one.
taking in low doses in water. Um, it's insane. I don't know like what made these guys in the 19th century. It was materia medica from Dioscorides, like where they were giving spoonfuls of this stuff in water to women and seeing what would happen. Basically, just using them as guinea pigs. And I think the word is Luca Lurca. Who what is it called? It's like it causes spastic sexual desire. Like it throws them into sexual frenzy over the course of days of taking this, but it will stop happening after so many days of them taking it. Like where they're, I know this is getting like very vivid, but like where they're extruding like liquid excreta like from themselves uncontrollably, like, and where I think it's like 6 or 7 different women that this doctor was like experimenting this on with, but he was trying to treat them for depression. Like where it's like he's which in today, and I think it's called
Homeopathic.
yeah, homeopathic, like that they do use low doses of Murex for depression, for menopause, um, etc. But it can have an effect of causing sexual arousal, which I thought was like I gotta look. I just found that like earlier this week. I was like, what the fuck? Like where it's like, is this going on like in other, which like Dioscorides, like I saw like where Dioscorides discusses it. But like I've never seen Galen say that. Never. I've never seen Xenocrates say it, or Lurgus. Lurgus was just before, actually during the time frame of, he was another physician to an emperor. Um, oh, what's his name? I think it was Caligula. Yeah, I think it was to Caligula. Um, which like he writes extensively about like Murex too. Like, it's very like basic things. But he has his own like antidotes, like Mithridatum, um, Theriac, like antidotes on like specific things. But yeah, homeopathic. Which like it's just like okay, so like I've only seen so far this one ancient discuss this. Like so, like I haven't looked even further into it, but like if there's any other um people like writing this about like, and this is just taking it like as like extracting it from the actual I forget what part it's like the membrane part of the Murex. Because like the entire thing, like the shell, the membrane, like the body of it, and then um I forget, they call it like the liver part of the Murex is like where you get the actual dye from.
Hmm.
But the shell itself, like it's alive. Like if it knows it's about to die, it will get rid of the dye itself. Like it's so tiny. Like it's like very, very little. So if it knows like it's like if it's like out of the water for too long,
Mhm.
like it will like just disappear. So that's very interesting, like to see like that they know that much about it. Back then, I mean, Pliny writes a lot about it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
I think this is a.
this
Oh
is this
yeah,
guy's
Henry C. Allen.
his notes from what like
Mm-hmm.
commentary on history or something. He says
Mm-hmm.
causes violent sexual excitement, violent sexual excitement,
Yeah, violent.
ex-
I mean, what?
excessive sexual irritation, driving to self abuse. That's,
Yeah,
I mean, who knows what Henry Allen like if what he's saying like has any legitimacy, but that's crazy either way.
well, he's taking this from notes from like from doctors in like the 19th century. They were running tests on specific women. Like I think I sent you another one where it actually goes through like the different women, and then like the outcomes of everything is like at the very bottom on like how just about every woman that took it didn't like completely cure their depression, but it helped. Like they were taking this for like over like a 3 year period, or like a 2 year period. Like only one out of like the seven women, like it didn't really help them much because because if you take too much of it in a specific dose, it does cause like burning sensation in your internal organs and stuff. So like if you take like it's like a pressure. I think I read on it. This is something I gotta send to Kyle so like he can look more into like the terminology. I was looking at terminology. I was like, what does this even mean? Like
Right.
again, like the medical, the pharmaceutical side of these terminologies, like it can just go like right over your head until like you look really into it. Like um, I mean, it's hush, you little punk. This is Ruby, by the way. Everyone wants to know.
You gotta actually show her.
Huh?
Yeah, you didn't really show her. You gotta actually show her.
Oh, you saw her earlier.
Well, it's not good enough for me. Look at that. That's the dog.
Ruby, this is Ruby Doo. And then, come here. Oh, quit that. And
That's a
this is
different
the
dog.
sweet boy. This is the sweet boy. This is Lou.
Very nice.
Sweet boy. If you pick his underneath his armpit too quickly, he's only about a year old. He's still a baby, in my eyes at least. That's a mini Aussie. If you've ever
Yes.
seen one,
No.
no. Oh, it's like a, a blue heeler and like an Australian Shepherd like mix. If you've ever seen those types?
This right here. That's not what's there. You go.
A mini Aussie. Yep.
Oh gosh, man, they're pretty
He's
cute. To
only
be honest.
probably about like he's probably only like about a foot tall, but he can jump up to my face. Like I'm right at 6 foot.
This is what you
Like,
have.
yeah,
Oh, very nice.
a mini Aussie, and then two
Does he have it?
Pomeranians.
Does he have an
I
accent?
live with a bunch of women. God help me. Does he have an accent? He
Yeah.
talks like this. This is how he talks.
He learned from
When
you, huh?
when I baby talk him, he has Gomer Pyle. You know Gomer Pyle. I don't know how old you are. You know Andy Griffith.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Gomer Pyle. That's how he talks to me. And then Ruby's a girl, but I won't do that one.
Okay. All right. I'll.
Sorry, we're getting off context. But I think the other Gomer Pyle. Yep, the hat. I'm trying to think
Oh,
of
interesting
the.
coincidence there.
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh, I
both
know,
have a
me
hat
too.
like
Right?
that.
Oh, I'm trying to think of the. There's another question you asked me earlier. Damn it. Trying to think. I can't remember.
All right. Well, I'm going to dive into these sources, and then we
All
can
right.
maybe do like a little talk about them.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot here. I want to actually like give a, not just like meandering my way on screen and make this
Yeah.
4-hour video. But yeah, no, it's been fun talking to you. It's cool. It makes a lot of sense with what you're saying and then what you were saying in the videos. And I think that you had an important context. And I do appreciate your approach because you are not someone that is just saying that, hey, Ammon's stuff like is just completely nonsensical. Like he does say some things that are right. And he also says some things that are wrong. And if you just listen to Neil and Steven, maybe even myself, you might get the impression that everything he says is completely made up. But like he is bringing up sources like the PGM, which are really interesting. And I'm like, shoot, okay, even if half the stuff you say about that Ammon is made up, that it's like, okay, I can watch and be interested in that a little bit because that's cool.
Yeah, I'll send you the Helios PGM with the young boy in it. I'll send you that, and you can look further into it. And then there's like two others where they do mention, but you don't. That's the thing. It's a suggestion because it's always a suggestion to use the like specific like another person with you, but you can do it by yourself. It's not just like you need a a child or a woman to divine. Like, again, like until you really look through like Greek magical papyrus, like um, I have a few like different like translations like from like I lived in Chicago for a few years, and then University of Chicago is like deep like deep into the studies of like the PGM and like ancient Near East studies and stuff. So like you can just go like there and like they have a lot of the stuff you can just go like look at and like stuff from like the 1800s all the way up to like nowadays like stuff like, where or even like stuff on display where they have a really good like museum. So if anyone lives in Chicago, go to the University of Chicago to their departments and you can look at a lot of this stuff.
So what do you mean that you went there and you looked at PGM stuff? You mean like they have books there? You didn't talk to people about it there, did you?
Oh no, I went there to like specifically look for this stuff, and then like when they have like the people that translated it, like a lot of their professors, like or at least like in like the classicist or like departments and stuff, like this is like their focus and stuff. So like you can like
So
go
you went
listen
to
to
you talked to
lectures.
the you said you listened to some lectures.
Yeah, I went to like some lectures, like
Cool.
again even like with like Mesopotamian divination like stuff or like
Yeah.
spell work. Like you can go to like it's the Institute of I can't think of it right now. It's the University of Chicago. Like people can look it up. Like they have a really good like YouTube channel too, where they have like guest lecturers come in. Really fascinating stuff. Like if people are interested in it. But if people are near Chicago, I always like try to tell people to go, and then they can actually like see a lot of this, like either on display, or if you get like a pass for the day, you can go into like the libraries and then like actually like read these books and not just have like it like on your phone. So like having a book in your hand when you actually flip the page like to what you're looking for is like a whole different feeling than like your screen. Like it's just like oh, it's like right there. But then you're still sitting there like, oh, do I want to do this the old school way? Do I want to go get a lexicon and like try to like find like what this word means? Most of the time, like no, I just use my phone. Like I'll take a picture and like scan it, and then like okay, what is this? And try to back. Yeah, right there. Yeah, the Institute of Study of Ancient Cultures. Like if anyone ever visits Chicago, they gotta go. Like they have a really great Egyptian like what do you call it, display. Again, Mesopotamian, Persian.
Yeah. Yeah, I really want to
Like
go.
they
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
like a lot of the past like 150 years, a lot of stuff, or at least like in like modern times, like a lot of um great like doctoral work has come out of that university. Um,
Yeah,
I
for
forget
sure.
like the main guy. Um, oh, what's his name? He found King Tut's fucking tomb. I forget his name. Anyway, it's off the top of my head. Like, I can't think of it, but like he basically made that university like
Howard Carter.
famous for all that stuff. Yeah, Howard Carter. Yeah. And like getting the PGM like translated like in the early like 1920 or the 1920s. I think it was 25 in 1925. Um, he was pushing for a lot of that, like to like let's find out what this shit means, like basically.
Sweet.
Uh,
Sweet. Cool. Well, awesome. All right.
but
Well,
yeah,
any
sorry about
last
that.
thoughts before we get going there?
No, it was nice talking to you. It was good like to actually like explain like more things because again, like, you can only explain so much like in a live chat before someone just times you out for no fucking reason. You know who I'm talking to out there. When like
It doesn't look
I'm just
like
trying
they're
to
in the
engage.
chat.
I don't care if they are. I'll say he can go. Sorry, I won't say that. Lord forgive me. Um, that's another thing too. Like I'm not like a Bible thumper. I guess I should say it too. Like we're like I'm a lover of history. I'm a history nerd, but also like I look for esoteric and or exoteric meaning in things. And I guess you can say like a Neo-Platonist type of view, but like I myth and like my grandma first introduced to me like the Greek and Egyptian gods when I was 4 years old, and I've been obsessed ever since. So even
Nice.
like looking into like she would give me books and like where it's just like expanding upon things. It's like why am I reading about this guy Ganymede? Like why is he so friendly with Zeus? You know, that was Zeus's boy lover. But it's like just like when you're reading this at a young age, you're like, oh, okay, like there are other lifestyles, I guess, back in the day.
Other lifestyles.
And again,
Yeah.
like it's just but I say from an early age, I've always been interested in this stuff, and it's like I will follow like the evidence where it goes, but it's also like interpretation and context. It's like, um, yeah, I just appreciate you having me come on, man.
Yeah, sure. Awesome. Well, it was cool listening to you. I think you actually say a lot of good stuff, so it was fun. Also to hear your experience. But anyways, yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want more content like this. I'm going to try to interview some more people on the channel about their experiences with Avon's group. Trying to get somebody actually still in the group, one that is really in the group. But hard to do that if everybody hates you. So whatever. Maybe one of these things. One time it'll finally come to be. Maybe we'll see. But
It
anyways,
doesn't
yeah,
have to be tribal. It does not have
you're
to
right.
be tribal.
Right.
Like it's like it could be from a good place or just yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. So it's like I would love to see that.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you guys.
It doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But I was just gonna say, yeah, it's been fun talking to you. And everybody like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you think that Ryan is a total loser and is wrong about everything. But other guys, hope you have a good one.